Hello again, and welcome to World of Kabbalah with Batal Edwards. We're going to turn to one of the greatest, if not a Kabbalist, but a Chassidus Rebbe, the Radziner. Now, first of all, we need to understand the difference between Kabbalah and Chassidut. Kabbalah was from Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai in St. Avram Avinu. It's the secret esoteric tradition of Judaism, the mystery of creation, the mystery of the universe. And anybody not worthy, stay away. But there were great masters who were worthy, and there were many simple people who found solace or enrichment in such things. But as long as you have a master, somebody who has received the tradition, and you are a Yoreh Hashem, a God-fearing individual, it should be a good thing. But if you found too much honey, don't drink it, because like we learned in the Talmud in the last piece about Ben Zoma according to the Yerushalmi, Ben Azai according to the Bavli, that to drink too much of this esoteric lofty stuff can be very damaging. So proceed with caution and start from the beginning. Have a approved master. How do you choose a master? The Lubavitcher Rebbe teaches us that somebody who you can see him doing acts of kindness, and he is a modest person, a baishan, shy person, and a merciful person who acts with mercy, and it's things you need to see. And if somebody is doing these things and is a responsible rabbi, then you could learn from him, and he may. Now, if the problem is finding a teacher for esoteric wisdom is very hard, the best thing to do is come to Jerusalem, and there are several reputable rabbis that I know of I could direct you to. And if you are in another place, New York City or so forth, I'm sure they're there also. So we got to be very careful about which well you drink from, because some wells the water is a little stinky. Anyhow, back to our subject. So there's Chassidut and there's Kabbalah. Kabbalah was passed on from master to disciple, often the master from generation to generation, as long ancient as Abraham and beyond. This could be even Adam Arishon, the first man, was given a book of esoteric wisdom. It's called Sefer Toldot Adam. So it's passed on from generation to generation, and the worthy are able to receive. Only a worthy vessel can truly receive. So I bless you to be a worthy vessel. And if you are not, then there's Chassidut, which is Chassidut is not worse than Kabbalah. Chassidut is the path of the Baal Shem Tov, which actually brought the esoteric tradition that went from Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai to the Arizal, and then from generation to generation. When it got to the generation of the Baal Shem Tov, Rabbi Yisrael ben Eliezer, Harav Yisrael ben Eliezer, may the memory of the righteous be for a blessing, as King Solomon said. Then he made Kabbalah accessible in a way that could be understood by all. So in order to understand the difference between Kabbalah and Chassidut, I would like to offer a brief story told by one of the students of the Baal Shem Tov. He said that once upon a time there was a land where they had everybody told stories about an amazing creature, and this creature had the head of a panther, and the wings of an eagle, and the body of a lion, and the claws of a hippodrome. And this creature was much talked about and discussed among the residents of this town. However, no one had actually seen it. It was reputed to be many miles away. One person, all the information they had about this wondrous creature came from many generations ago, that an explorer had seen it and had told about it to an elite group of friends. So one of the brave townsmen actually got up the gumption and made the brave journey for 2 years to outer Mongolia, or wherever the creature was, and he saw it, he studied it, and he came back and he told the townspeople about it. So they all crowded around him, the eager listeners, to hear the details about this beast that they had only known from a kind of myth. Or from an ancient elder. Then so somebody, a contemporary of theirs, had actually seen it. Then a few years later, perhaps the next generation, there was another brave soul who said, I'm going to go and see the beast. So he went to see this wondrous creature. He made the 2-year journey, then spent time there and came back. Maybe it was 20 years until he came back to his town. But when he came back to his town, he not only had knowledge of the creature, he actually had managed to capture the creature and bring it back for all of the town to see. So, what's the meaning of the story? Well, I'll let you know as best I can. The first, the ancestor who had known about, who brought the knowledge, the initial knowledge of the creature in the story is none other than Rebbe Shimon Bar Yochai, the great Talmudic master and mystic. He, in his work, the Zohar, which had been passed on from generation to generation through the secret, from the secret Kabbalists and those worthy vessels, until it was finally published by Moshe de Leon in the 12th century. He had received the manuscripts and published it. Or perhaps he wrote down an oral tradition. This is very likely because for certain reasons about the antiquity of the Zohar, professors will tell you that the Zohar was actually written by Moshe de Leon, but the faithful and the inside tradition, the true tradition, knows that it was actually an oral tradition, a mystic tradition, and that was actually somewhat added on in every generation by the contemporary Kabbalists and mystics of that day. So that accounts for the certain occasional word of Castilian Spanish that very sparsely thrown in the Aramaic. The other proof that it's an ancient text is that the Aramaic of the Zohar is exactly, there's certain Aramaic forms that are exactly like the Aramaic of 2nd century Babylon, which was not known to in Provence in France in the 12th century. Of the Jews of that area, the scholars of that area did not know these forms, did not have access to these forms at the time of Moshe de Leon, which nixes the ability for him to have used such grammatical forms. This is a linguistic proof. And now, okay, so that's the second. That was the first one. The second in the story, the second teacher, the one who had actually seen the beast and told it first-hand account to the townspeople, was the Arizal, who took the Zohar, which was a closed book and a very lofty book, very esoteric book, and he explained it in a reasonable way so that the scholars could understand it. But still, it was like telling about something as opposed to actually bringing it to the people. The one who actually brought it to the people was the Baal Shem Tov. He brought the creature back to the town for all to see. He brought the Merkava. The creature represents the holy chariot and the mystery of God, and he managed to explain it in a way that simple people can understand and relate to. And they could either be a great scholar, or they could be a water carrier or a wood chopper, and still have a direct experience of the divine through the way of praying and the path of and the observance of the mitzvot with joy and simplicity. And he had managed to bring down very lofty concepts that for the Arizal was an exclusive study for the great scholars, and involving a lot of fasting and mortification of the flesh, and a lot of scholarship. He managed to bring it down to simple people to understand without the difficulties with which it was acquired in the days of the Arizal. And the Arizal lived in the 16th century Tzfat. Baal Shem Tov was 300 years later. In 18th century Ukraine. Okay, so thank you very much. That's the difference between Chassidut and Kabbalah. Have a good Shabbat.